The American election is important for this reason. The world is in a worse place, a more dangerous place than it's been at any point since the Cuban Missile Crisis, and even I wasn't born when that happened. Strong American leadership, standing up to bullies, and leading a strong NATO are absolutely vital for our national security. And I believe the world was a much better, safer place with Donald Trump in the White House than it's been with Joe Biden. So that's the context. I'm not saying Britain doesn't matter, far from it. Of course not. I'm British, I'm here. But I do think who wins in America for global safety is absolutely vital. I genuinely do. What I showed 4 years ago in the first video I ever did from the channel was escorting. And what happens here is, once a dinghy, and it can be just 200 yards off the beach at Gravelines or wherever it may be, and the French Navy escort the boat all the way to a 12-mile or median line, whereby they hand over the boats and the people to Border Force or the RNLI. The French Navy are aiding and abetting the criminal trafficking gangs. And actually what they should be doing is, which something the Belgians have done to a certain degree, is they should be taking those boats back to mainland France. We have to make it absolutely clear to the French, we will not accept that continued practice of escorts. I have to say that the Rwanda policy is something that was plucked out of the air by a desperate Conservative government, launched just down the coast at Lid Airport 2 years and 1 month ago. And Rishi Sunak, of course, has inherited that from Boris Johnson and keeps making promises that planes will go to Rwanda. I am absolutely convinced that the overriding reason for calling a snap early general election is because he knows those planes in July, as he promised, would not be going to Rwanda. They weren't going to go. Rishi can't stop the boats.
The UK government has unveiled plans to introduce a year's compulsory national service for 18-year-olds if it remains in power. Rob Powell has the details.
I think the detail is potentially less dramatic than the headline. We're not talking about conscription or anything like that. It is 18-year-olds essentially being given the choice to either apply for a year-long placement with either the armed forces or in cyber defence. That would be selective. They'd have to pass tests to get into that. If they don't want to do that or they can't do that, then the other option is essentially the civic version of that. It's 1 weekend a month for 12 months, volunteering, although you're forced to do it, of course. It was not really volunteering, with local organisations like the NHS, the police, the RNLI, or with charities as well. So why is Rishi Sunak doing this? Well, he's written a piece laying out his thinking in the Mail on Sunday tonight, and essentially he's saying this is about giving young people opportunities, equipping them with skills as well. He wants to set up a royal commission, a sort of fancy inquiry, if you like, to look into how this national service programme would work. Because it's mandatory, that would look at what non-criminal sanctions teenagers would potentially face if they decide not to do this. Look, I think another big reason for doing all this is because it appeals to traditional Tory voters. There's polling out this evening as well that shows it really appeals to reform voters, people that would say they would support reform, that party that are rivaling the Tories to the right, that threaten to split their vote. So I think this is an attempt to try and shore up their core base traditional vote.